video is a little bit different from the other videos that you know from my channel. I want to talk about my life as a working jazz musician. Well, in the life of a jazz musician, not every gig is going to be the gig in a great jazz club or on a festival with an audience really loving your music and listening to every solo. You also often have gigs where you're hired on an event of a company or on a private party where the music is just a side thing. And that's the kind of gig where I put on this kind of a suit. And I have to say, I love these gigs because I can play some great jazz, and I always go there with a jazz attitude. I want to play some great music, even if the people don't really listen to the music. But every now and then, these kind of gigs can get long. It often happens that you agree to play for 3 hours, and then the organizer comes up and say, "Hey, can we have you for 1 more hour?" And then even 1 more hour, and then even 1 more hour. That's fine because they pay you more. But it may happen that a gig is getting long. Maybe also the acoustics are not too great. The people are talking loud. Maybe you were helping out in an amateur band and the people are not really on your level. So I must confess that sometimes these gigs get long. But you can use this time very effectively. And here are my ideas when I have a gig that's getting long. My idea number 1 is that I recall what my bass teacher told me concerning my left hand. That may sound not too original, but it's really fun to look exactly at your left hand and try to have a real picture book technique. So that you really don't have the fingers moving like this, and that you really keep the fingers pressed when you press with the little finger, for instance. So let's go on to number 2. Idea number 2 is to play a couple of choruses only in one position. You can take, for instance, the half position. That's where you have an A flat on the G string here. And yeah, let's take a B flat blues, and it would look like this. Everything in one position. Idea number 3 is the contrary of idea number 2. You don't play on one position, you play a whole chorus only on one string. This would look like this. Idea number 4 is about what I call walking bass architecture. In a couple of weeks I will do a whole tutorial about walking bass, and I will talk more deeply about this. But basically this is an advanced concept for walking bass. The idea is that you will shape the whole walking line in a certain way throughout the chorus. And let me tell you a little funny story to give you an example of walking bass architecture. It's a story that a good friend of mine and a great drummer, Michael Schwarz from Berlin, told me. He said he once had a gig, and in the pause a guy came up to the band, and he said to the bass player, "Well, you know, you're playing nice, but yeah, today's bass players, they don't play like the bass players of the real jazz time of the 50s and 60s. At that time, what they did, they were always playing from down there on the bass and going up here all the way in little steps and then going back down. That's the real way to play a walking bass. Of course, there's not too much truth in this, but I find this concept really cool. And yeah, that's also a nice idea to try this out on a gig. So this is what I mean with a walking bass architecture. I will try to demonstrate this again with blues in B flat. Okay, there were some moments where I didn't really respect the exact architecture that I was talking about, but I think you will get the idea. Let's get to idea number 5. What did I do? I detuned my E string to a low D. Why not? You know this maybe from electric basses. I think it's a great idea to detune the E string to a D, so you have a couple more low notes that you would only have if you have an extension or a 5-string bass. So let's try to play with a detuned E string. Idea number 6 and 7 is about listening carefully to your colleagues. So my idea number 6 is to analyze the solos of your colleagues while they play their solos. Maybe you can find out what kind of scales, what kind of arpeggios they're using, and maybe when it's your turn to play a solo, you can pick up these ideas and put them also in your solo playing. Idea number 7 is analyze the comping of your colleagues in the band. The idea behind this is that maybe some of you play a second instrument besides playing the bass. I picked up the guitar something like 2 years ago, and yeah, it's really interesting if I play with a guitarist to look on his left hand, what kind of chords does he play? Do I know these chords? Maybe I will have a question popping up that I can ask him after the gig about some chords or some voicings. And I would recommend to all of you to not play only the bass, but play a harmony instrument, guitar or piano, or play the drums to improve your rhythm feeling. So on a gig, it's a great idea to listen carefully to what the colleagues are doing, and maybe you can pick up some ideas for your second instrument. Idea number 8. I'm not a left-handed player, and of course this idea is not meant too seriously, but if a gig gets really boring or the music is really too easy to play, then just take the bass to the other side and try to play it as a left-handed player, or as a right-handed player, of course, if you play left-handed normally. That's really interesting because in a split second you become a total beginner on the instrument. Okay, this I don't really recommend to do on a real gig, but if all the other points are too easy for you, maybe that's the right challenge for you. So that was it for today. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you liked it. And I would love to know if you also already came up with ideas of this kind when you played some very long gigs. If you did, let me know in the comments. I would love to read about that. Maybe that would give me some new ideas for my gigs. Okay, so don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you didn't do that yet, and hit the like button if you liked the video. That helps me in my ranking. And see you again very soon on the String Metrics channel. Thanks, bye bye.